We are going to the story at the beginning. I am reading this in the words of the person who sent the story. Hi Daisy, greetings from Cartagena, Colombia. This story is titled, Hands in the Water Saved Me from a Watery Grave. This happened 5 years ago. I was 25 at that time. A group of friends and I were on a trip at a beach called Manzanillo del Mar. It was a sunny day, clear skies and soft winds. We arrived at our destination and got ready to get into the water. You know, nothing out of the ordinary. Next to us was another group of people. It seemed like a family. There were approximately 5 women and 4 girls. The girls could each be between 10 and 12 years old, but everything seemed normal. Around 1 p.m., suddenly the beautiful, warm, sunny day started to become cold. The sky clouded over us as if it were about to rain. As we were in the water, we felt a strong current trying to take us deeper into the sea, which is normal. We swam back to shore with some effort, but when we stepped on solid ground, we realized that the 4 girls were also dragged, and unfortunately, they did not know how to swim, so they began to drown. 4 of my friends and I took floats and proceeded to enter the water to rescue the girls. I took 2 of the girls and put them on the float. My friends took 1 each, and thankfully the girls did not pass out. They just swallowed some water. Being on the shore, we heard a scream. One of the women who was with the girls jumped into the water in a desperate attempt to save the girls. We thought, what? Didn't she realize that we already rescued them? The lady did not know how to swim either. We realized that there weren't 4 girls, but 5. Some people came into the water to try to save the lady. I think it was the lifeguards, but in the heat of adrenaline, I can't remember well. My friends and I focused on the girl since the girl was the closest to us. So we head back to the water, but when I went to enter, I saw something that paralyzed me. My legs refused to move. There in the water, there were a lot of pale white hands, long and pale, just below the surface. And no, it wasn't algae, garbage, or any other sea plant. I know what they look like. I'm from Cartagena. The sea is part of my life. And also, the water was clear. So I'm completely sure of what I saw because it caused me so much fear that I got paralyzed instantly. There were so many hands, thin and white. It had fingers, fingernails, and they could be seen just below the surface. The sky darkened. It was night now, but my waterproof clock said 2 p.m. It began to get colder. A cold wind started to blow, but no one else seemed to notice the hands or how dark the sky was. The cold wind, yes, everyone felt the cold wind, or that's what I think. By the fact everyone near the water was shaking. Seeing me in shock without moving, my other friends jumped into the water, but when they entered, they were flooded with a terrible fear. Paralyzing according to what they describe. I was paralyzed by the sight of hands in the water, but then I saw the girl again. I saw her face down floating, and nobody seemed to come to help. So I took a deep breath and said in my mind, God, please give me strength and keep me from all evil. Immediately, I regained control of my body. I took my friend by the arm and told him, let's go. We enter the freezing water, which is strange because here in Cartagena, it is very hot, and the water is always warm. But not only was it cold, it was freezing. So cold that it hurt. We finally reached the girl, but we could no longer see the rescuers trying to save the other woman. They were 2 away from us. The tide kept pulling us deeper. Suddenly, a wave dragged my friend away from me, and he had no choice but to go back to shore. So I was left alone, just a few meters from the girl. I felt like I was running out of strength. I began to feel afraid of getting tired and not being able to swim back. As I said, the girl was already unconscious, floating face down. In a last effort, I extended my hand to take the girl by the arm and pull her to my float, when suddenly a big wave sank us and hit us hard against the bottom. But that same wave threw the girl on me, and under the water, I took her and began to swim back to the surface. When we finally came to the surface, the sea suddenly calmed down, and the sky was cleared. The sun started shining again, and the water was no longer cold. Suddenly, something strongly pulls the girl underwater, dragging me with her. And while I was underwater, I felt cold and long hands pulling me down. I had the chance to get a closer look and feel them with my hands, trying to set free, fighting with all I got. There were like women hands and some of men's. All of them were very, very strong. I felt its biceps hard as a rock pulling me to the depths slowly, but I did not let go of the girl. I was not willing to let her go. A strong impulse to save her invaded me and forced me to fight. When I could no longer hold my breath and I thought, this is the end, I'm going to die here, a miracle happened. It was as if time stopped for a moment. The desperating feeling of drowning stopped, and I heard a voice, which I have never heard, but somehow I felt I knew, as if I had always heard it all of my life. The voice shook under the water like the sound of thunder, but at the same time, the voice was very soft, pleasant, and gentle. He told me, let go. I insisted on not letting go, and again the voice insisted louder, let go. And for the third time, he said, now with my name, Andres, let go. This is not your time. You already saved her. Now, let go, please. I believed in those words, so I let her go. And the cold and strong hands weakened and let us go. The feeling of suffocation returned, but a little more bearable, enough to allow me to swim. I looked up and the surface was far away. I didn't have much time left. I knew I probably would not make it to the surface before drowning. And then, other hands took me by the waist. These were stronger than the others, but they were different. They were warm, gentle, and soft. They quickly brought me to the surface together with the girl. Already up, I noticed that I had the girl by the hand all the time, but it is not possible. I remember having to let go of her and seeing her get lost in the abyss of the sea in front of me. But it was no time to think. With the new and last strength I had left, by swimming, I reached the shore. I gave her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. The girl began to cough. She vomited the water. She began to breathe and she looked at me. Then I, as a result of the tremendous effort, lost conscious for a couple of seconds. After recovering my breath, I saw a lot of people gathering around something. And when I got closer, I saw that the lady who entered the water was dead. She died trying to rescue the girl that I managed to save, and that I almost died trying. No matter how hard they tried, they were not able to resuscitate her. By that moment, the sky was already clear, the sun shining bright, and the sea was so calm that it looked like a lake. And the terrifying presence disappeared and was replaced by a comforting calm, interrupted, of course, by the cries of the relatives of the dead woman. It was as if whatever that was in the water would have done his job of taking someone that day. And just as it came, it just left. If it wasn't for that voice that spoke to me underwater, giving me strength, and those warm hands that chased away the cold hands, the girl and I would also be dead. And today, I wouldn't be telling you about it. But God had mercy and saved us. Something tried to take them. Since it could not take the girls, he took the life of that lady that went inside the water. Since then, I told myself I will never return to Manzanillo del Mar beach. I haven't told almost anyone this story because when I remember it, that feeling of being dragged into the depths returns to me, as if my mind was there again about to die. And those hands, the hands. Ugh. Well, the truth is that I no longer care if people believe me or not. The people who love me believe me, and that's enough for me. Those who were with me are witnesses. Of course, they also avoid the subject because even though they couldn't see the hands, they felt the icy cold and the dark presence that was there in the water. Fear paralyzed them and they trembled just by remembering. But for me, it is time to go back to that beach to face my fear of that place. Overcome and forget once and for all, in the name of Jesus, what happened. I'm not afraid anymore, and that's why I trust you with this. Please share my story. You may be tempted not to, by whatever it is. Doesn't want people to know. But please ignore that feeling and share it. God is with you too. So everyone knows that no matter how scary a situation becomes, and even though there are scary things out there that we can't see, that we cannot explain, they're waiting, lurking. We also have an almighty and compassionate God who protects us and appears when we need him most. I know what I experienced. I know what I saw. And that's why when someone tells me I don't believe in those things, nothing has ever happened to me, or I haven't seen anything, I answer, that's fine. That's better. And I'll ask God that you never have to live such a horrifying situation.